Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Just call me Swanee.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
Finally, Clemson Sports Talk has come back to Drive Time. Hello, everybody. Lawton Swan back in the saddle. Once again, it is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk for you each and every afternoon as you make your way around the great state of South Carolina and beyond, listening to us on incredible radio stations like Fox Sports Radio 1400 in the Midlands and around the world on the iHeartRadio application. Coming up in hour number 2, Roddy Jones, Sirius XM and the ACC Network joins the program. Lots to get to here on the show today, but yesterday was a day for Dabo Swinney to meet with the media, and we thought, you know what, finally, Clemson Sports Talk has come back to Drive Time. Hello, everybody. Lawton Swan back in the saddle. Once again, it is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk for you on a Thursday afternoon. Stepping into the arena to hang out with us, Michael Felder from Stadium. He's on Twitter at In the Bleachers. Michael, my buddies over at General Dentistry of Lexington took care of me today, so I'm hoping that you can also take care of me this afternoon as I try to pass some of this to you. But I am tired, Michael, of having to figure out what in the world is going on with Clemson's offense. Again, struggles on the road at Syracuse. They cannot struggle this Saturday against Pittsburgh, or this game might go sideways in a hurry.
Yeah, I think the big thing, it's not a different problem. They don't have different problems. They have the same problem over and over again, and I think that is they just can't – they don't move bodies up front. This is a team that wasn't built to move bodies up front, though. They were built to create angles and to create creases, and when teams can shut down those creases. Remember, Syracuse, for all those people that don't know this, Syracuse has one of the better defensive fronts in the country. And so it's going to be tough sledding. Pitt's going to be an interesting one because Pitt is the opposite. Everything we've known about Pitt over the course of them being in the ACC has completely changed for this season. They are an offensive first. They're an offense first team that the test is going to be Clemson's defense is going to have to hold up every single play, because Kenny Pickett is having the season of a lifetime. They are finding ways to put the ball in the end zone. And I think there's going to be angles for Clemson's offense, but the reality of it is if they make you chase points, and this isn't a position that Clemson's used to being in, but if they make you chase points, can you run them down?
You know, the other thing I would ask you is sort of flipping it. I mean, if this Clemson team comes alive offensively, which I don't know that anybody's predicting that or projecting that, but I think Pitt all week, right, has looked at this game as an opportunity, and they feel like Clemson's vulnerable, like a cut boxer. But if Clemson comes out swinging and playing well, does that have a greater chance of stunning Pitt just kind of based off of the expectation of who Clemson is offensively?
Yeah, I mean, I think that holds true for. I mean, we just watched Purdue play Iowa, right? And Purdue, not that Iowa was a cut boxer, but Iowa was a team that had some vulnerabilities, and that vulnerability was the offense, which is the same issue that Clemson has. And Purdue jumped on them early, and when they put the paws on you early, like it's what is it? Mike Tyson that says it. Listen, it's all fun and games until you get punched in the mouth. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face, and if Clemson finds a way to punch Pitt in the face early, I certainly think that adjusts the expectations and also adjusts the actual real game plan. I mean, you think about, goodness gracious, going back to week 0, I think, with Nebraska and Illinois, and Scott Frost going, we had to throw out our entire game plan because of what they did. And like, they came out in the first series, did something we weren't expecting, and that was it. So if you're Clemson, try some, like, I don't know if anybody's ever, I don't know how many people have seen The 40-Year-Old Virgin, but Romani Malco in that movie, he says, if everything you've ever done hasn't worked, maybe you need to try everything you thought was right didn't work. Maybe you need to try some wrong. And if you're Clemson, try something else. Like, instead of waiting until the end of the game for DJ Uiagalelei to run, maybe start running him early in the game, which will influence the mindsets of those safeties, which can lead to opening up passes down the field. I've been doing a lot of looking at zone coverage and how teams play zone coverage. And if you're not layering routes, that's how Purdue won the football game against Iowa. They forced Iowa to cover the ball down the field. They forced them to cover 35 yards down the field. But if you don't have an offensive line that you trust to make you do that, how do you fix it? You fix it by having quarterback with run action fakes and all those things to manipulate your linebackers and your safeties and slow down their progress so that you can get wide receivers that far down the field. And you don't have to always throw it that far down the field, but as linebackers expand, you create space in between, and now you have a chance to make big plays because guys get the ball, and now you can get some run after catch.
Makes a ton of sense. Again, Michael Felder, he's on Twitter at In the Bleachers. All right, Michael, nationally, the LSU job coming open at the end of this season, just a couple of years removed from a national championship for Ed Orgeron. The microwave mentality of fans. And I know there were some other issues surrounding Coach O there.
Sure.
It sounds like he was getting a little loose with the program in general. But, you know, it is amazing to me still that name and that job is now open given the success they had a couple of years ago. Not maybe how surprised were you that that's the case, but, you know, in college football, man, it can happen fast. And even the great programs can fall in a hurry.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to drive your car off a cliff than it is to hit that hairpin turn. And for them, they had a hairpin turn, right? You lose your coordinators to Baylor and another one to the Carolina Panthers. Okay, now what do I do? How do I steer this? How do I steer this ship? How do I steer this car? Oh, I'm not that good at it. I'm not Mario Andretti out here. So, we've driven into the wall. We've driven off the cliff. And then obviously Coach O getting loose in his personal life that's another problem, and figuring that all out. It's a good job. I mean, Louisiana, I think, is as a state per capita, at least a couple of years ago, per capita had the most NFL players. Again, that's per capita. That's per person.
Right.
But Texas, California, Florida still have more. They just have a bigger population. But per capita, they had the most NFL players. They have a ton of talent. They have talent that other people never even see, who turn into big-time players, because to get back into those hollers and to get into that bayou, you got to know where you're going. And a lot of folks don't even know these kids exist. So they've got all that element to them. It's very much like it's still where Florida was, where South Florida was in the 90s, is where LSU or where Louisiana is right now in terms of talent evaluation, while other places like Georgia, Texas have revved up talent evaluation. California, to find players everywhere. Louisiana doesn't have that same sort of strong base, both from a coaching and a recruiting standpoint. So it'll be interesting to see. It's a good job. It's just a matter of how the job works for you. And we talked about this a week ago, right? Where you said he's the perfect fit and he's great at it. But at the end of the day, who cares if you're from there? Who cares if you want to be there? Who cares if you speak the language? If you can make your own gumbo? At the end of the day, you got to win football games. And never, talking to you, doing radio with other folks, never did anyone say that Coach O is a great football coach or a smart man. And I think maybe this is the time for them to get a smart man, because they haven't had a smart man in there since what? Nick Saban?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, even Les Miles, kind of looking at the track record of what happened there. Now, the other thing you mentioned, the recruiting hotbed, one of the other advantages it has that a lot of other programs don't have is the fact that it is the only Power 5 school in that state. I mean, you have Arkansas in that same, zip code in terms of being the only Power 5 in their state, and I think West Virginia and just a handful of others. But in your estimation, following recruiting, I mean, how significant is that? That, Texas A&M, for example, they got 5 other Power 5 schools, I think, in the state of Texas. I mean, how significant is that for LSU that they are the only show in town outside of the Saints?
I don't think that the significance comes with them being the only school, right? Because Arkansas is that, and Tennessee is that, and
Tennessee's got Vandy.
I think
Tennessee's got Vandy.
Oh, well, see, I completely forgot about them already. But
the Commodore fans, we apologize.
I don't think that that's the significant. Nebraska is by itself. I think the thing for me, when you deal with an Ohio State, when you deal with an LSU, even I will say when you deal with a Nebraska, it's not that you're the only school there. It's you. And so it's not about house divided Clemson versus South Carolina, or house divided NC State, UNC, or house divided UNC Wake, or house divided Vandy in Tennessee, or house divided Auburn in Alabama.
Right.
What it is that you have people who love you. So you have, and I pardon my language for people listening, I don't want to make anybody upset, but the biggest thing with LSU is you have Walmart fans, is what we call them. Like people that have no affiliation with the university, but still love the university. Well, guess what? Those people have kids. And then those kids grow up into being really good football players. And so while their parents never took classes there, or maybe their great uncle went there, or a friend of the family went there, they are indoctrinated into LSU football, Nebraska football, Ohio State football. That's built into their life. And like, remember Landon Collins committing to Alabama? Kid from Louisiana committed to Alabama, and his mom was upset. She wasn't upset because she went to LSU. She was upset because her whole life she's rooted for LSU. And that's the part that gives you extra fuel and helps you keep kids in that state. And that's the part that I think is the most important thing to recognize, because those kids, and this is something I talked about with one of my good friends, Bomani Jones. It's also spread into Texas because of Katrina. You have families that were displaced from Shreveport, Louisiana, all these places. They were displaced. They had to move to Houston. They had to move to Galveston. And you go back and look and see how LSU's been able to recruit those spaces. It's because those are families that are still LSU fans. And it's very unique in terms of not just being the only Power 5 school, but because it's a spot where, oh no, we're LSU fans. I think that Georgia has some of that as well, even though Georgia Tech is there, obviously. But Georgia does have a very special this pocket of anyone that's from Atlanta, not from Atlanta, from outside of Atlanta, they still love Georgia. And you guys know that because that's up and down 85. And there's a clear marker on 85 where, oh, these people are now Clemson fans, and these people over here on this side are Georgia fans.
Yeah.
But the same marker holds true when you get into South Georgia, right? Where, oh, these people stop being Georgia fans, and now they're either Florida fans if you live near Savannah, or if you live closer to the Alabama border, now all of a sudden all these people are Auburn fans if you live in like Columbus, Georgia. And LSU happens to be a place where all the people are LSU fans. So they're all LSU fans, and then you also have to add in the Mississippi people that are LSU fans. And add in some of the lower Arkansas people that are LSU fans, and then now you add in those East Texas people that are LSU fans. They have this block, and again, that's why I related it to South Florida, where all those people, even though they didn't go to Miami, they grew up Miami fans.
Right.
And when their kids get good at football, they want to go to Miami, or they wanted to go to Miami until the college football world kind of opened up a complete different world to them. But when all they knew was Miami football, they all went to Miami. That's why, was it Howard Schnellenberger?
Right.
Created that state of Miami, went from Tampa down. So yeah, that's to me the benefit. I'm not discounting what you're saying. I do agree that having one Power 5 school in the state makes sense, but I also do think that because they care, like New York's only got one Power 5 school in their state, right?
Yeah, Syracuse.
Yeah, but people don't grow up wanting to go to Syracuse to play football.
Yeah, right.
So I think that other part is also, we got to add that other part into it, where everyone who grows up in that state is like, I'm going there. I cannot wait.
Yeah, it's weird because I looked it up the other day. It's not many. You got Nebraska. I think Nebraska and LSU, Michael Felder, by the way, from Stadium joining us, are the two that where the state sort of embraces football. I mean, you got Rutgers in New Jersey, Syracuse. You mentioned West Virginia. I mean, they're just a handful of Power 5 leagues. Well, the one that's really crazy, though, to me, is North Carolina with 4. I mean, that's a lot for a state that size with the Blue Devils and Tar Heels and Wake Forest and Wolfpack. And speaking,
it's a state that listen, you only need 12 guys to play basketball, right?
it's true. It's true, man. It's true. But hey, right now, look, Wake Forest undefeated, NC State. What they did this past Saturday against Boston College, I know they got some breaks here and there, but man, I tell you, I thought they were going to be challenged, and that game turned out to ended up being, the Wolfpack walking away from the Eagles.
Yeah, it was I love Devin Leary. Been a big fan. Kid's from New Jersey, came down to NC State. He's got an amazing arm, can sling the ball around. And excuse me, I think the big thing for NC State is going to be they need eyeballs on them, right? And they play Miami this weekend. Hopefully more people are going to watch because it's Miami instead of Boston College. Miami gets more eyeballs than Boston College. They need to go out and look that good, look as good as they looked last week. They need to look that good this week as they take on Miami. And I think that's going to be the interesting element to this, is going to be how they handle this success, because NC State fans have this thing that they call NC State S word, right? And that's what they call it. They're like, whenever things are going good, something bad is going to happen. And they have to overcome that. It's the same idea as, what was it, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, where we were talking about quote unquote Clemsoning. Yeah. And NC State has that same stigma, like that cloud hanging over them. And I think if they can break through that ceiling to get to an ACC championship, that would be marvelous for Dave Dorn, marvelous for this program. By the way, shout out to Ruffin McNeil, who had a good program going at ECU, gets fired, goes back to Oklahoma to make something, and now they have him on staff as a special assistant, where he kind of is like an advisor, essentially. And they're making things happen. Like, they're doing stuff in a positive way. So they've got a good offensive line, 2 good running backs, quarterback that I'm in love with. They got some dogs on the defensive side of the ball. It's going to be really – I don't need to tell you guys. You guys saw it when they took on Clemson. But I think the reality of it is, for them to stay in that pole position, they have to make sure they go out and win. And then if they can win with some style points, they can climb up those rankings. Meanwhile, on the flip side of that, if you're Clemson, you've got to be like, last week should have been the time you lost. Okay, hopefully this week Miami shows up. And so now Clemson is in the precarious position of rooting for teams that have been incredibly mercurial for the rest of the way against NC State to have a shot to get into the ACC championship, because you guys need them to lose too.
It is a weird place to be, and if Clemson loses against Pitt, I think it's all said and done. The crown's been knocked off their head. Pitt could put their foot on the crown and crush it Saturday up at Heinz Field. Michael, always great catching up with you, my man. Thanks for carving this in. Next week, I'm going to make a note. I want to talk to you about Arch Manning. I mean, that's a big name. He's going down to Ole Miss this weekend, and the name Manning is going to be painted in the end zone because of the recognition of Eli Manning there in Oxford. Sure. But a young man with a lot of pressure on him just simply because of his last name. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on Arch Manning next week. Michael, be good, buddy. Thank you.
Sounds good. You take it easy.
There he is on Twitter at In the Bleachers, Michael Felder from Stadium. Can't wait to talk with him about Arch Manning next week. And, the pressure that players have on them is immense. That may be part of the issue that we're seeing with DJ. The expectations of being at a power program, a program that was expected to compete for the college football playoff. And then you struggle in week 1 against Georgia. And maybe that just continued to compound itself on top of this team and maybe even more so DJ. 803-450-0086. All right, we had a couple of texts come into the program yesterday, and I loved them. I meant to tweet them, and I didn't. I wish I had, because they are sort of the exact counter opposites of one another. Tiger Chuck says, Swanee, I respectfully disagree about the game coming down to the defense making things easy as possible for the offense. He says, how can we ask our defense to make even more plays against the best offense we have faced yet than we did versus other teams we played? He said, we barely win every game, as if this matchup is a total nightmare on both sides of the ball. This game comes down to whether the offense can score touchdowns or not. He says, we will all know what that means. Pitt 37, Clemson 17. Tiger Chuck also went on to say that Pittsburgh is going to kill us. Again, that comes to us from Tiger Chuck. Conversely, B-Man in SC said, preach, Swanee, I too am frustrated, but I've heard you say many times before that different times may be coming. He said, we are 2 to 3 plays away from being a low-scoring, undefeated team. As quick as we slip, we can get back up. And that's that two unique perspectives, neither wrong, right? I mean, this Clemson team is just a couple of plays away from being the weirdest undefeated team in the history of college football. We'll hit a quick break. Stay with us.
The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org, a public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show now at 978-1832 or text 803-450-0086.
Clemson Sports Talk on a Thursday afternoon. Lawton Swan with you. All right, so Dabo Swinney spoke yesterday about the Pitt Panthers, and he was asked specifically about Pitt's pass rush and maybe even more importantly how Clemson's running backs have done in that aspect of the game.
They've done a nice job. They really have. They've done a nice job. The thing they need to get better on is getting out. Where we don't need them. That's the one area that need to see a little bit of growth, and that just will come, with a little more experience, but getting out into the pattern when we don't need them in, so that's the area I think they need to get better. But as far as their protection and their assignments and techniques, they've done a nice job.
Again, Dabo Swinney and Clemson preparing for a huge matchup against Pitt. Pitt's 5-1. They got beat, though, by Western Michigan in a high-scoring game, and maybe that's a reason for you as a Clemson Tiger fan to be partially confident that if the Clemson defense shows up, they can manage to keep this game close and have that Clemson offense do just enough to win. Well, Dabo Swinney was asked about some of the issues that Pitt had against the RPO game that Western Michigan presented to them when they took them on earlier this year. But according to Clemson's head coach, it sounds like the Panthers have cleaned up a lot of that.
They're just, very polished in what they do. And again, that's the sign of, a very experienced group. They're very experienced on the back end. They don't do a lot. They just do what they do very well. They're very good, and they believe in pressure attacking, style of play. And do a good job inside of getting after your offensive line, getting after the run game. Their safeties are down in there, but I think the biggest thing is they gave up a few plays in the Western Michigan game. There was some, they did a nice job, and they kind of got them on some game plan stuff. But you can just see that they learned from that and kind of cleaned up, some of their issues with their eyes and how they were trading some things off and stuff on the back end, but and they missed some tackles as well. But they cleaned it up and they played really well. Since then, it's a very physical, tough group. With a bunch of guys that are going to play on Sunday on that defense.
Coach Swinney was also asked about the injury front and if he had any updates on any of those players who may or may not be coming back.
That's a good question because it seems like every day there's something, and we still got, what is today, Wednesday, so we still got a couple more days, but it's crazy. We're down a bunch of guys, so our depth's being challenged. But man, what an opportunity for a great story for these guys to be a part of. And so, you know, I don't focus on the guys we don't have. I focus on who we do have. And, you know, we don't make any excuses, man. We got everything we need, and it's our job to get it done.
One of the other things that has caught the attention of a lot of people is Clemson's wide receivers and the fact that they have not played all that well, especially doing the little things, but maybe more importantly at the slot position occupied currently by Justin Ross. Coach Sweeney was asked if perhaps a freshman like Troy Stellato, now that he's getting healthy and traveled with the team to Syracuse, might get an opportunity.
He's free to play. I mean, he get to play 4 games, so he's not playing because we just don't want him to play. I mean, he came in here injured, number one, and then he came in here way behind, just way behind with a lot to learn. And but he's made steady progress, and I mean, he's a guy that, you know, again, you got to know what, you can't just be fast. You got to know what to do, and you know, that's an area that he's still improving. But he's going to be a good player, and he has improved a ton. His focus has gotten better. He's maturing, but you know, he'll be with us, and he'll have to be ready to go.
So there's Dabo Sweeney again, an update on Troy Stellato. Another freshman everybody's been asking about now is Will Shipley, and whether or not the running back out of the state of North Carolina, the former 5-star, will be able to get back out there and play. It's not as if this offense at Clemson looks like it's, quote, lost anything without him, because he really haven't looked sharp all year. But here's what Dabo Sweeney had to say about where Shipley is as far as his recovery from his injury.
Yeah, he'll be a game time decision. And you know, he looks good. Looks better than, you know, I anticipated at this point.
Again, Clemson, the underdog, heading into this matchup against Pittsburgh. Last week, it was a vaunted rushing attack at Syracuse. Clemson tried to slow down. This week, it'll be a passing attack. But Sweeney was asked, hey, do you still fundamentally attempt to stop the run, even against a team like the Pitt Panthers?
Well, I think every week it always starts with stopping the run. You know, even though they're a pass first team. I mean, they don't make any bones about that. But these two backs they got can hurt you. You know, these guys are really good, and they will run the football, and they run it better. They ran it better against Virginia Tech for sure. But you know, they're going to put the ball in that number 8's hands and those receivers and that tight end, and so, you know, that's what they do best, and you have to take away what they do best to have a chance to win this game. But you know, it always starts with being sound in the run game. But in this particular game, if you can't slow down this passing attack, it's going to be a long day.
So there you go. Dabo Sweeney again saying that it'll be a long day if you can't slow down not only the rushing attack, but certainly the passing attack for the Pitt Panthers. 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086. Again, thank you to Michael Felder for joining us out of the gates in hour 1. Don't forget Tim Beret coming up in hour number 2, our website, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. We'd love to have you come over and be a part of everything we do over there. Again, just $63.17 for 1 year coverage. That's right, Gamecock Nation. I said it. $63.17. You know, Dabo Sweeney had a lot more to say moving forward now, and I want to get you some of that because there's really some good stuff coming out of there yesterday, but we didn't have time in this segment. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll roll it over to the next segment because Dabo Sweeney was asked specifically about how Clemson's linebackers and secondary will handle what Pitt likes to do, not just on the boundary, obviously, but across the middle. And this will be a key battle in this game, especially if Clemson is going to keep it to a low-scoring affair where they have a chance late in the game to win. Because I'm not sure that Clemson is going to win this ball game, folks. This is going to be the most difficult game Clemson has played this entire season. Stay with us.
Don't wait one more day to enjoy your life to the fullest. Peak Performance for Men has helped thousands of guys overcome erectile dysfunction. Schedule a free consultation today that includes an ultrasound, no medication, pumps or needles, just non-invasive, painless, focused linear compression therapy. Call the Columbia office at 803-302-8181 or find them at peakperformanceformen.com. Now there's no excuse with a free consultation. Call 803-302-8181.
Hey guys, Lawton Swan here. I was hanging out in the backyard with my son Mason a couple of years ago, and he said, "Dad, you're the best father ever." When I asked him why, he said, "Because when I go outside to play, I don't get eaten up by the bugs anymore." Imagine that, me a hero, when all I did was call my good buddy Trey Powell at Mosquito Joe. With their routine service plan, no more bugs and no more bites. Make yourself the family hero. Call Mosquito Joe today, 803-223-7916. That's 803-223-7916. Outside is fun again.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat and Place. Just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat and Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
It's your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword dollar to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's dollar to 200-200.
It's fall, y'all. Stay cool with this Wilson'sAir.com weather update.
Tonight, the skies stay clear and the lows dip to the low 50s. Tomorrow, lots of sunshine, warm day, highs low 80s. For Channel 25 ABC Columbia, I'm Chief Meteorologist John Farley.
This report is sponsored by Brakes for Less.
Brakes for Less is what we do. We know drums, rotors, pads, and shoes. It doesn't matter what kind of car you got. Call 888-261-STOP. All we do
are Brakes for Less.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to ditch the car and start rollerblading to work.
I look ridiculous.
You look ridiculous!
You don't need to start foraging wild berries.
I was skeptical, but these are actually pretty good.
You don't need to sell your organs on the black market.
Lie back. This is gonna hurt.
Yeah, that hurts.
You don't need to rent out your apartment to drifters.
I made a fire with the wood in your bedroom.
That's my dresser!
And your closet door.
You just need an internet connection. Don't get left behind. Start your personal savings plan with the tips and tools on feedthepig.org. That way, you don't need to sell all your belongings and live in a commune.
These dungarees belong to all of us now, Tom.
Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Job coaching, computer and technology training, Braille instruction, educational workshops, mentoring, social networking, and recreational camps. These are just some of the far-reaching services offered by the National Federation of the Blind of South Carolina. We promote the economic and social welfare of the blind while helping them live the lives they want. To find out more about us, call 803-254-3777 or visit www.nfbofsc.org. Broadcasting from the TrueCar.com studios, this is Columbia's Fox Sports Radio, 1400.
Back at it on a Thursday afternoon, the show that shakes the Southland. We were listening to Dabo Swinney before the break, and an interesting question emerged about, Clemson's linebackers and some of their safeties, how they'll handle what Pitt likes to do offensively in the middle of the field.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing they do is, they're going to try to feature number 3. He's a great player. He's had 4 games in a row. He's averaged 120-plus yards a game last 4 games. And so, they'll feature him in different ways, just like we try to feature, our guys, over the years when we feel like we've got a guy that's hot. But they just do what they do. I mean, it's not complicated, but it's hard to stop because you got a quarterback that plays the game is slow for. He plays with precision and poise and really understands defense. And every defense has a weakness. Every defense, and when you got a guy that really understands that and sees the pressures, he's going he's a hard guy to get to. So we've got to disrupt him. We can't let him be comfortable and get in rhythm. We got to make him move, and we got to contain him because he is a good scrambler. And when he scrambles, it usually leads to a big play in the pass because he's a good thrower on the run as well. But they do what they do, and again, they've got all those receivers are good. The tight end's a very good player. I mean, they get the ball, they spread. That's one of the things that makes it so difficult. They spread it out to everybody, but they're going to make sure number 3 has an opportunity to touch the ball. So you got to know where he is and have a plan for him.
Again, Dabo Swinney ahead of Clemson's matchup with Pitt. He was also asked about how his group has done this year, just pressuring up front when they've just sent 4.
We've done well. I mean, Miles Murphy and Xavier Thomas have been, phenomenal when it comes to pressuring the quarterback. We've missed some sacks, but we've disrupted. Pressure creates timing issues, and a lot of the incompletions that we've had have where quarterbacks had to hurry it, been a little off target or whatever. That comes from pressure. So our pressure's been good. We've had very good pressure inside, and obviously we don't have Tyler Davis and Brzee now, but those guys have done a good job. I mean, Trey's gotten back there several times. Rube, we've done some good stuff, and we've created pressure, with secondary level, guys, backers, and safeties, and even some corner stuff, along the way. But I think we've done a good job with that. And we've played a lot of coverage, but we've been able to still get pressure because of what we've got on the edge.
Sweeney was also asked about the wide receivers and how they've practiced. Obviously, they've had some issues not only with drops but also downfield blocking. Here's what Coach had to say on that front.
Their efforts always been good. They had a great week last week, and it's been another same thing, another really good week. These guys have been really easy in that regard. It's just taking it to game day and making the layups, making the routine plays all the time and the impossible most of the time. That's what we try to live by around here. And right now we're not doing the routine stuff very well. Hopefully this will be the week that'll turn for us.
Dabo Swinney was also asked about being an underdog for an ACC game, and that Brent Venables had said, it was something unique and an opportunity for these guys.
We ain't worried about that. I mean, listen, I promise you, Pitt doesn't look at us as an underdog. We're going to get everybody's best shot. It doesn't matter who we play. Doesn't matter what our record is. We just focus on trying to play our best game. We're not caught up in who's favored, who's not favored. We just trying to play our best 4 quarters of the season. That's all we're worried about.
Cornerback depth could also be key in this ballgame. As Sweeney was asked about the health of Andrew Booth and Fred Davis and their availability for this contest.
Yeah, they look good. It's the first time in a while we've got all 6 corners available. So good week for that to happen. That's for sure.
Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers again, 3:30 Saturday against Pitt. Pat Narduzzi was also asked this week about DJ Uiagalelei and his development or issues or whatever you want to call it. And, I've said here maybe just some of those things are just the order of operations of being a sophomore, quarterbacking one of the top teams in the country, having to be the guy. I mean, all of that, right, plays into it. And Dabo Swinney was asked about that and the potential of having growing pains that maybe Clemson didn't feel with a guy like Deshaun Watson there or even Trevor Lawrence. And here's what Coach Swinney had to say about how DJ's played and maybe some of the things that he's been dealing with.
Well, do y'all think DJ was pretty good last year? We were better around him. Just that simple. When Deshaun was here, when Trevor came in, we were better around those guys. And, we're just like we're in transition at quarterback, we're in transition everywhere else. I mean, like I said, we've had 3 different centers, 8 different starters in the OL. We've never had that in 6 games. And so we don't have the continuity, and we haven't had the consistency and performance around him. And not that he's played perfect, and he's played 2 pretty dang good games. He's getting better. He's kind of fought his way through the funk, and I really think he's turned the corner. But we just haven't been as good around him. It's just that simple. We're going to be. It's been a lot of different things, but I think that's the biggest difference. there are some growing pains that we're going through, I think, offensively. And certainly DJ has worked through some things too, but we were much better around him last year, much more had more continuity up front, didn't have the depth, but we had continuity. This year we got more depth but no continuity. And we've not been able to kind of put it all together in some areas. So when Trevor showed up, that was a national championship team, national championship offensive line, national championship, receiver. I mean, we were a veteran group. And same thing when Deshaun came in here. We had just a little more continuity around the quarterback. To me, that's the biggest difference. So DJ's going to be just fine, and the rest of it will come together. Hopefully it'll happen this year, and we'll get this thing rolling like I know we can. But it's all said and done. He'll be just fine. But every quarterback we've had has had some growing pains. Whether it was Deshaun or Trevor, they might have had some, but somewhere in their career, they've all had some growing pains along the way. It's part of it.
So there you go, Dabo Swinney talking about your Clemson Tigers ahead of this game against Pitt. He also updated everybody on Braden Galloway, says Galloway will be back. That's a big deal as well. We'll hit a quick break. We'll come back with more here on the show that shakes the Southland.
Are you thinking about refinancing your home to get cash out for a renovation or to pay off debt? Save money with a cash out refinance from Cap Center.
We just helped a client who's a professional chef finance his dream kitchen. By avoiding typical closing costs, he had even more money for his vision.
Cap your closing costs. Visit capcenter.com. Equal housing lender. Visit capcenter.com for rates, savings, and offer limitations. NMLS ID 67717. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
When a community grows, its hospital should grow too. And that's just what we're doing at Lexington Medical Center. We recently launched the largest hospital expansion project in South Carolina history. Our new 10-story patient tower will help us take better care of patients, including the tiniest infants who need special attention. It will also make room for the growing number of patients who need surgery and intensive care. At Lexington Medical Center, our mission to serve our community never wavers. We're here when you need us today, and we'll be there when you need us tomorrow.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-2073. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today and call 800-575-2073. That's 800-575-2073. Or you can visit us online at tra.com.
Your life, your hopes, your passions. These things are none of our business. Your deodorant rash, your favorite cheese, and whatever you were searching for at 1:15 a.m., that's really none of our business. Because your life is private, and unlike other tech companies, we think your internet should be too. Oh, what kind of dog is that? That's none of our business either. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
I'm Colleen Wolfe from Thursday Night Football and Good Morning Football Weekend. And I'm Ricky Hollywood from Around the NFL and the broadcast. On our new podcast, Split Ends, Ricky and I will be coming to you every week to talk about all the important and unimportant storylines in the football world.
Join us for the stories on and off the field that matter. We'll break down games, news stories, tweets, interviews, whatever it takes to cover the ins and outs of the NFL world.
Listen to Split Ends on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Jill, why don't you tell the class what you did this weekend?
Well, my dad and I went in search of some magical minnows and found a zillion of them in the stream from our lookout rock. Then my sister and I escaped from an evil slug king and went back to my super twig fort for safety. Then we told stories till it got dark, and the Big Dipper camper led us all the way home.
Where were you, Jill?
We went to the forest. It's not that far away.
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Families affected by disasters urgently need support. Help the American Red Cross provide meals and shelter to those affected by disasters, big and small. Donate to Red Cross Disaster Relief. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS.
$1,000 in your hand.
Yes!
Win $1,000 every hour. At least 12 chances every weekday.
Oh my God!
$1,000 in your hand on Fox Sports Radio 1400.
It is a Thursday afternoon on the show that shakes the Southland. Final thing from Dabo Swinney's press conference yesterday, and I probably should have got this in, but we mentioned earlier in the week you had Joseph Charleston going in the transfer portal, and now you got Mikey Dukes going in. Here's Coach Swinney talking about the situation with Clemson running back Mikey Dukes jumping in to beam me up, Scotty.
Just had a team issue this week with him, and he just felt like it was time to move on. So he hasn't really played, but and you hate it again. That's again what it's kind of where we are, but in college football, and he's one of the best athletes on this team. But it just takes a lot more than that. But same thing, wish him nothing but the best and do anything I can to help him. But just focus on the guys that are here.
So there you go. Dabo Swinney talking about Mikey Dukes and his decision to leave. And Swinney was asked to sort of explain team issues. And he just said, he had an issue and he decided to move on. Now, like, you can speculate all you want. It could have been maybe a dust up at practice with another player and then being told you had to sit out of practice or a game or whatever. And Mikey didn't like it and decided to leave the program. The thing I have, and I saw people tweeting about this, the thing that bothers me more than anything, and it's bothered me since Kelly Bryant, is not the ability for players to move around. I'm okay with that. If coaches can move, players should be able to move. I've always been okay with that. What I struggle with more than anything is leaving your team mid-season. Like Kelly Bryant had the year to play at Missouri because he didn't play more than 4 games at Clemson. But that doesn't mean that because you're at your threshold, you should leave. Like, you can stick around and finish the season with your teammates. And yeah, players quit all the time. Players quit. They get tired of their coaches. They get fed up and they quit. But to me, that's a big blemish on you as a human being to quit something. I mean, my son plays soccer. My daughter plays soccer. If all of a sudden they didn't like playing soccer and they wanted to quit, I would say, look, you're going to finish the season with the team. And if that means you're on the bench and you don't get to play because you don't like it or you don't, whatever, you're going to practice. Like, that's where I feel like some of these players are failing themselves. That's where I feel like some of these guys are laying themselves down. Now, look, does Mikey Dukes want to play? Yeah. Does Joseph Charleston want to play? Sure. Does Lynn J. Dixon want to have snaps? Absolutely. Nobody's denying that every player on the team wants to contribute and wants to play. But there's no loss in still being a part of the team, still going to practice, traveling, working out, getting prepared for your next destination, whether it be in January or next June or whenever you want to roll out of town. Because if I'm a coach and I'm looking in the portal and I see a guy that's entered mid-year and he left his team, I'm thinking to myself, is that the type of person that I want in my program? And if that person was already having an issue or whatever, and that was the reason they decided to leave, then do I really want them in my program? Like, just finish the job. If you're Mikey Dukes, to me, take the consequence and move on. Now, look, if you are in some sort of abusive situation, if you have some sort of situation where you're being, unfairly punished, or what was it that happened out at, man, where was it where the kid got locked into a closet, where they kept lawnmowers and stuff, if that is the type of thing, the situation you're dealing with, then yeah, I mean, if it's an abusive coaching staff, then those things need to be brought to light. Those things need to be flushed out. And I would not blame a player for leaving under that, type of circumstance. But anything else, if it's a consequence for your actions, if it's a lack of playing time, just finish the year. You get to play in 4 games, potentially. There is no harm in staying out there and learning more. And you never know. In Kelly Bryant's situation, highlights this more than any. The name Chase Bryce will resonate for years in Clemson history because he had to come in for Trevor Lawrence the game after Kelly Bryant decided to walk away from his teammates. And Chase Bryce made a huge play for this Clemson Tiger football program that then allowed that team to go on and go undefeated and win a national championship in 2018. You know the name that won't be remembered years and years from now and people won't be talking about? Kelly Bryant. The season Kelly Bryant led Clemson into the college football playoff, not undefeated, but as the number 1 team in the country and got beat by Alabama. People forget that. That's going to be lost in the wash of Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. And, when they tell that story about Big Trev, the giant killer, they're going to tell the tale of Chase Bryce and Bryce's impact on that season. It won't be forgotten. And that's what guys like Mikey Dukes and Joseph Charleston need to remember before you just walk away. I get it. It's tough, man. It's hard not being a starter. It's hard not being a guy that gets playing time and as many snaps as you would like. But it's also hard 20 years from now looking back and thinking, what did I miss out on? And maybe not this year. You're not missing out on the national championship run. But maybe it's next year. And you're not a part of that either. And maybe do go get one. Look, maybe Darion Kendrick, a little different situation. But, here's a kid who's kicked off of Clemson's team. Ends up at Georgia. Now he's on the number 1 team in the country. Like, I thought about Kendrick's career. I'm like, whoo. This kid's playing on some pretty good football teams. And I'm watching him this past Saturday, and I'm thinking, old DK's probably loving life over in Athens right now, being on the number 1 team in all the land. But again, these situations are different than Darion's. And I just don't think that these kids think about the ramifications of leaving midseason. Just stick it out. Find it out till the end. And then if you want to move on, great. But don't abandon your team.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports. Fox Sports Radio 1400. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
A wreck on hard scrabble at Elders Pond. Also an accident on Killian Road at Killian Commons Parkway. The 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line number is 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by BioNTech and Pfizer. Football, music festivals, finding the perfect costume. It's going to be an autumn to remember. It may also be a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Radio advertising can connect your business with holiday shoppers wherever they go. Use iHeart Ad Builder to create an affordable custom radio ad right on your phone. Just click, listen, approve, then hear it on the radio. Create your customized ad today at iHeartAdBuilder.com.
Lawton Swan here. And I know in sports, we're always talking about the big guy. Well, let me tell you, when you're buying a car, you don't need that. What you need to do is head down to Orangeburg to my good friends at Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac. 4 generations of family-owned business right there at Ferry Chevrolet. No dock fees, no tricks, straightforward pricing in a low-pressure environment you'll love. Check them out online, ferrychevrolet.com, or call them 803-536-1000. 1600. It's Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac, just a short 30-minute drive off of exit 145A in Orangeburg.
Let me tell you who I trust to protect my home and my family. Modern Exterminating. Hey, it's Lawton Swan, and when you need top quality service from a team that knows what bugs you, call Modern Exterminating, 765-2315. They're locally owned and offer a full complement of pest elimination services, including complete pest control, termite plans, moisture control, and more. Check out Modern Exterminating online at pestfreesc.com or give them a call today, 765-2315. Modern Exterminating. They know what bugs you.
It seems every time they have an issue, they ask, do you know a good plumber? Here's the answer. Yes, On-Call Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Like the name implies, they're on-call, so they're there when you need them. And On-Call always sends a trained technician, not a trained salesperson. Locally owned and operated online at OnCallSC.com.
On-Call Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Pick up the phone and we'll be right there. Call 781-HELP.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
You can save money and help the environment without taking a vow of poverty. How does that work? Well, by choosing Energy Star qualified lighting for your home. When you do, you'll become part of a growing national movement. Just go to EnergyStar.gov and click on Take the Change a Light Pledge. It takes only a few short seconds for you to have a long-term impact. Brighten your environmental future. From the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique, but you are not alone. MAD is here to help. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org. That's MADD.org.
WCOS Columbia, Fox Sports Radio 1400, an iHeart radio station available everywhere on our free iHeart Radio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan. Ready, set!
Just call me Swanee.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
It is hour number 2. That's Drive Time right here on the show that shakes the Southland, Clemson Sports Talk. Back at it on a Thursday and in the 5 o'clock slot. He's here each and every week. Legendary Clemson SID, a wealth of Tiger knowledge, joins the program. Tim, welcome in. Hope you're doing good. I tell you, it's rare that we get to say this, but the first time ever, Clemson's taking a road trip to Pittsburgh to take on the Panthers. Not necessarily the first time they've ever been on a road trip to Pittsburgh, but nonetheless, a big weekend for Clemson taking on a 5-1 Pitt squad.
It's the first time we've played a game against the University of Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. However, we have played a game in Pittsburgh before. Do you know who that was against?
I do. I read the notes this week. I was well prepared. Duquesne.
Duquesne in 1947. The Tigers played that game at Forbes Field. How about that? A game that was played just 13 years before Bill Mazeroski hit the home run to win the World Series.
Wow.
Over the Yankees in 1960. One other interesting note about that is that Bobby Gage was Clemson's quarterback that day in 1947, went on to have an All-American year in 1948. And he had 179 yards total offense to lead Clemson to victory over Duquesne. And then 2 years later, he had a 98-yard run for the Pittsburgh Steelers in that same stadium. And you should go Google that play, or Clemson fans, Bobby Gage, 98-yard run for the Steelers. It was actually a fake punt from inside your own goal line.
Wow. who
Can you imagine? Now, of course, I never really fully heard the story that, whether he just did it on his own or the coach wanted him to do it, or he kind of half bobbled the ball a little bit. So I'm wondering if he just did it on his own and figured he was going to get blocked, so he just took off and he went all the way for a touchdown. It was the longest run in Pittsburgh Steelers history. I think it was tied recently by somebody, but anyway, it stood forever.
Wow. Well, no, I mean, you mentioned that, and I was sitting here thinking, I was like, well, they probably didn't see it coming. Like, it's not like something you'd be quite prepared for. That's for sure.
No, I wouldn't think so. But I read about it, and then I found it on YouTube, and yeah, I mean, I guess he did. It was crazy.
Tim
he wasn't punt formation.
Tim Beret hanging out with us here on a Thursday afternoon. And Tim, Clemson had a fake punt of their own this past Saturday against Syracuse. Said, I'm not going to lie, Will Spires with a little pump fake. I had some great debates on what you call it. Is it the fake punt fake, or the fake punt fake pump, or the pump fake? Or somebody called it the pump Rooski, and I liked it.
Yeah, I've seen him work on that play in practice. They, Will Spires is a really good athlete. Obviously, it's in his genes. Every Thursday, which is today, they will have a lot of extensive special teams practices, and they do them in the indoor facility. And on kickoff returns, instead of because the ceiling's a little low inside, instead of having a player kick off, Will stand at midfield and throw these just beautiful yard passes all the way to the goal line, and then the guys will, run it back, and they'll, defend it, practice that. But yeah, if there was a team punt, pass, and kick contest, Will Spires would win it hands down.
Look, there's no doubt. What a beautiful throw. What a beautiful play call. And, again, it does, I think, continue, though, to press forward those conversations that we've had about just this offense being so limited. And what is interesting to me is that if Clemson were 4-2, Tim, and they were scoring 45 points a game and giving up 37, I don't think a lot of people would really be talking about Clemson. But in an offensive era where teams seem to score points left and right, and Clemson struggling to do it, even though defensively they're the second rated points per game defense in the country, the perception is completely different.
You're 100% right. If Clemson had lost to Georgia 37-31 and lost to NC State 35-31, they'd be ranked about 15th in the country. And, they would have lost to the number one ranked team. And what is NC State? Are they 15, something like that?
Yeah.
And people would have said, well, they lost to two top 15 teams. And,
right.
and, so, they're going to do it. Instead, we've got David Pollock saying, that Clemson's done. I'm through with Clemson. And then he did a podcast, I guess, today, which he said there's no way Clemson's going to win the ACC championship. Because the offense is just, but yeah, people don't think about the other side, the defensive side. And so, we'll see.
So sometimes in sports, and we know this, that what's happened before tends to kind of compound itself. And I asked DJ that question on Saturday after the game. I said, is it a compounding issue where when you have one bad play now, it just sort of exacerbates itself, right? Because it's been the routine. But that's kind of been the same thing for Kenny Pickett coming into this game. I mean, he's faced off against Clemson a couple of times last year, 4 interceptions, the ACC championship back in 2018. He struggled in that game. I mean, so Pickett kind of has a little baggage against Brent Venables in this Clemson defense where if he were to make a mistake early, maybe some of that kind of compounds itself for him.
Yeah, that's a good point. He threw 3 interceptions in the first quarter of the game last year, and Clemson was had 31-0 at the end of the quarter, which tied for the most points scored in the first quarter in Clemson history. His efficiency rating against Clemson for his career is 75.4. Now, a lot of people have a hard time putting their head around, efficiency rating, what the figures mean. So, all the Clemson fans are disappointed with what DJ's done so far this year. His efficiency rating is about 110, 115. And Pickett's is 75 against Clemson for his career. So obviously he's been a much better quarterback this year. He's got great numbers. He's got a 21-1 touchdown to interception ratio. But there's no doubt he has not played a defense as good as Clemson's, and probably hasn't faced a group of cornerbacks as good as Clemson, or defensive backs in general. And Clemson fans should have taken great note of Dabo saying last night that for the first time this year he expects to have all 6 cornerbacks healthy for the game this week, and that includes getting a Booth back. And we didn't have Goodrich 2 games ago, and then he played against Syracuse and had 4 passes broken up and had a terrific game. So we will be healthy in the secondary, and that's obviously going to be important.
One of the other things, again, former Clemson SID Tim Beret joining us. He is, of course, a wealth of Clemson Tiger knowledge. I was also looking, this game is being played at Heinz Field, which is a pro stadium. Most Clemson games played in pro stadiums have been obviously in postseason. Now with Miami in the ACC, you certainly are getting some games at Sun Life Stadium or whatever it's called, Hard Rock Stadium, I guess, down there. But is this one of the only other venues that you're aware of that Clemson's played in that is a NFL stadium and it's a home game for the opponent?
Yeah, Hard Rock, obviously. And now next year, the opening game is going to be against Georgia Tech, and we're going to play that game in the home of the Falcons. But you're right, that's not an every day facility. And of course, this is going to be our second game in a pro stadium this year. We played Georgia in the opener, the home of the Panthers.
Now this is going back before Dabo Swinney, obviously, but Tulane, I think we talked about this the other week. That game, was that in the Superdome? Was that their home stadium?
Yeah, well, okay. I didn't know if you were no. Going back that far, but
no, I hadn't planned on it, but I was just kind of running through my brain, like my tiny wealth of Clemson knowledge. That was one of the only other times I could really think of that this may have even happened. I mean, are there others outside of those that you are aware of if you want to stretch it back even further?
Well, yeah, historically. Well, obviously the game we mentioned in 1947 when we played Duquesne in Forbes Field. I assume Duquesne played their games there along with Pitt. In 1941 and other times in the 40s, we played Boston College in Fenway Park.
Right.
And so they either played at Braves Field or Fenway Park during that era. So yeah, the thing that nobody's talked about, and I'm surprised our good friend Will Vandervoort hadn't brought this up, is the wind. Historically it's been a difficult place for place kickers to kick field goals because the wind. They always used to kid that they would open the tunnel doors of the stadium in Pittsburgh when the opposing team was kicking a field goal, and kept them closed when the Steelers were kicking. But historically it's been kind of a difficult place to kick field goals. We'll see what happens with that.
Well, and you bring up Pittsburgh Steelers, and how could you not mention if you're a Clemson Tiger fan and the Steelers Levon Kirkland and not only his career at Clemson, but certainly his career there in the NFL as well. And, Tim, some of the things I like to get in with you here on the show is obviously highlighting some of those guys from yesteryear. What are your memories of Levon Kirkland as a player at Clemson?
Well, you're right. I would like to mention, though, first, before we start talking about Levon, that when the Pittsburgh Steelers picked their all-time team, I don't know how many years ago, 20 years, in conjunction with the 75-year anniversary of the franchise, there was only one tight end on the team, and it was Benny Cunningham. So we need to give a shout-out to Benny. But, Levon, Levon was a different player from when he was at Clemson and when he played in the NFL. He was about 240, 245 when he played here and was strictly an outside linebacker, defensive end. And then when he went to the NFL, he was, like 275, 280, and they moved him inside and obviously had a terrific career. I believe he was on the NFL all-decade team of the 1990s, as I remember. So, and he has been on the ballot for the Hall of Fame. So, but yeah, he was just terrific coming off the edge. And I really remember the thing that hits me the most was in 1988 as a freshman. Now he redshirted. When he came here, he was about 225, and they figured he wasn't big enough, so he redshirted him. And but in 1988, he had a great game against the University of Maryland up in Maryland. We had 3 tackles for loss for 25 yards, a couple of sacks, 13 tackles, and we won that game to win the ACC championship. And then, of course, he was the MVP of the win over West Virginia in the Gator Bowl in 1989.
What's always been fascinating to me about Levon Kirkland, and you're around a lot of these guys. Like if you talk to Ben Boulware off of the field, you could see how maybe on the field he could be just this kind of beast on the field. But if you talk to Levon Kirkland off the field, I mean, you think that you'd have no idea that he could turn into this. He's kind of like the Incredible Hulk. I mean, it's kind of strange. I've always told him that. I'm like, Levon, you don't sound like the guy that's ready to rip somebody's head off on the field.
No, you're right. He's pretty soft spoken. Now, I don't mean to say that he's quiet. He was a great interview when he was here, and then he went on to the NFL. He had great things to say, but he was fairly soft spoken in his presentation. But the thing I love about, have you ever seen the NFL Network, and it was done by NFL Films? They have this intro on some of the highlight films that they do, and one of the scenes they show is Levon on the sidelines with his helmet off, and steam is just coming off of his head, and it just reminds you kind of what you said, that when he was on the field, he turned into the Incredible Hulk.
Well, he has been a guest on this program frequently, and certainly a great member of the Clemson family, a Clemson community. And you brought up the late Benny Cunningham, another great Steeler, kind of, I guess, tying it back in to the punting situation we talked about earlier. Chris Gardocki, who did a little of both, dabbled in both the punting and field goal game throughout his career at Clemson and then in the NFL, and just a longtime Pittsburgh Steeler. And another name that I think Clemson Tiger fans certainly respect from the archives, especially when it comes down to the punting and kicking game.
Yeah, he won a Super Bowl championship ring one of those years that he was in Pittsburgh. And you're right. One of the more surprising things to me is I'll have to check his NFL stats, but I don't think he ever tried a field goal in his career. And of course, he was a great field goal kicker for Clemson. I don't know that it's been done since, but twice in his career, he finished in the top 5 in field goals per game and punting average in college. And so I figured that, and he would kick off in the pros, but he would only punt. So I'll have to look that up. But he was a great place kicker. I always remember he kind of came close against Georgia Tech in 1990 in the last play of the game. He had a 60-yard field goal attempt. It was just a little bit short. And think how that would have changed the college football rankings that year, because Georgia Tech probably wouldn't have been co-champions if that field goal had gone through. And I think Georgia Tech beat us 21-19 in that game.
What a long career he had, and you nailed it. No attempts in the NFL, if you can believe that, for Chris Gardocki. Unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, back then though, I mean, I'm not saying it was the norm for guys to kind of do both, but does that in your mind kind of speak towards the specialization of sports that we've seen, that you don't have a ton of punter/kickers anymore? I mean, I wouldn't say it was normal, but it was much more usual than it is today.
Yeah, I can certainly understand it because it could take a toll over the course of a season on your leg if you're doing both. I know Coach Ford used to have Chris take a day off here and there during his whole career. He did both from 88 through 90. My favorite story about Coach Ford and Gardocki after he was finished playing, or maybe it was in his senior year, asked Coach Ford, how much of did Chris contribute to the program? He said he was, he was one of a kind. He said in the future, I'll refer to people who do what he did as a Gardocki, kind of like you refer to clean. You talk about a tissue to blow your nose. You'd say, I need a Kleenex. I need a Gardocki.
Yeah. Need a everyman. Somebody could do it all. I heard that. Tim, thank you again for sharing all of the history of Clemson with us, and some of the Steelers and some of those great games in Pittsburgh in the past. And man, it is always fun just kind of walking down memory lane with you. I get to do this. I get to do this great thing where I talk to you on Thursdays about the history of Clemson, and then I've turned the Tommy Bowden segment on Fridays, and I know he's going to be back in Clemson, I believe, for the Florida State game.
He is. Yes, he is.
But I have turned that into just kind of digging in about travel plans and all the things. Like, it's like inside the head coach's head and what goes on the game week basis. It has been an incredible run with you two back to back, kind of here on the program on Thursdays at 5 for you, and Fridays at 4 with Coach Tommy Bowden. So thank you for your time, and we cannot wait to catch up with you again next week.
Sounds great. See you, Lawton.
Tim Beret here on the show that shakes the South Lane. All right, we'll hit a quick break. We'll come back with more in hour number 2. You are listening to Clemson Sports Talk on Fox Sports Radio 1400, and of course available around the world on the iHeartRadio app.
It's your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword EASY to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in the station-wide contest. That's EASY to 200-200. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic. Sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive. Home of the best tire prices in Columbia. Guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
Couple of traffic issues this afternoon. Highway 6 at Carl Drive. Also Hester Woods Drive at Hardscrabble. If you're stuck, use the 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by Circle K. Sip and save at Circle K. With their new drink subscription, enjoy one coffee or fountain drink every day for only $5.99 a month. Sign up in-store. Circle K. Take it easy.
iHeartRadio Earth is here with little tips for a healthier planet. October is Energy Awareness Month, and with the blustery winds of fall beginning to move in, it's a good time to assess your home and make sure you're ready for the season's cooler temperatures. The most cost-effective way to reduce energy waste is to find drafty doors and windows and seal air leaks. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living, or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
Hi, Scott here with Traditions Fine Jewelers. Everybody knows that diamonds are a girl's best friend. But did you know that now there's a new kind of diamond that's sure to become a girl's new best friend? I'm talking about lab-grown diamonds, of course. They're exquisite, they're stunning, and they're incredibly affordable. Best of all, if you're looking for something big, they eliminate the need to settle for a lower-grade stone, because now you can get a beautiful, eye-clean, bright 1-carat diamond for less than $2,000. $10,000? Or how about a gorgeous 2-carat diamond for just $5,000? Or if you want to go really big, how about a 3-carat for just $10,000? Yes, we still carry diamonds that come from the earth, and we always will, because there's nothing more romantic than an earth mine diamond. But now modern technology gives you an amazing choice, and we're all about it. So come see us and start your journey towards getting the diamond of your dreams, earth mined or lab grown. It's your call. And for the best selection of both, come see us at Traditions, only at Traditions Fine Jewelers. Now with 2 locations to serve you, Sunset Boulevard in Lexington or at the Sand Hills Center in front of the fountain. Traditions Fine Jewelers, where the Midlands get engaged.
Sandhills location now open. How do you take your pregame up a notch? Book former Carolina player Bill Gauze and his son Will at Billy G's Carolina Barbecue to cater your event. Nominated Best Caterer in Columbia, Billy G's Carolina Barbecue brings their A game. Barbecue, oyster roast, wedding receptions, corporate events, and of course, tailgate parties. And they have a food truck for those special events. Call 256-2694 to book your next event. That's 256-2694. Billy G's Carolina Barbecue, South Carolina's #1 team for barbecue.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing. I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Looking for South Carolina's favorite country? You'll find it at 97.5 WCOS.
Again, always good to catch up with Tim Beret, and mentioning Chase Bryce there and a little earlier in the show. Just wow! Last night, his victory: App State 30, Coastal Carolina, the 14th ranked Chanticleers 27. They were down 14-0, but in the end, it's a walk-off field goal, a 24-yard field goal attempt for the Mountaineers to get past the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. Chase Bryce, again, 18-28. 347 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yep, maybe, just maybe, etching his name in the history books there in Boone, North Carolina. 803-450-0086. What's crazy to me about that game is that you had to dig in to find anything on it on ESPN. And I get it, it's Coastal Carolina, I get it. But they're a 15th ranked team in the country. And I had to dial into the NCAA football section just to get to it. I mean, Kenny Pickett and Pitt on the top of the billing. Ed Orgeron wanting to finish out the job at LSU on the top of the billing. Jeremy Pruitt and his lawyers on the billing, but had to dig in to find all the information about Coastal being upset by App State last night. Speaking of Ed Orgeron, man, the conversations about the job at LSU and the potential of Lane Kiffin maybe being a name. We talked earlier in the week about Jimbo Fisher's name. We played the comments from Fisher. This job is a huge job opening. And I can't help but think that there's got to be some people in Oxford, Mississippi that are just a little bit concerned that Kiffin could take it for a few reasons. First off, more so than any other school in the SEC West, sorry Auburn, sorry A&M, LSU's the team that should be able to compete with the Crimson Tide. And it feels like, based on what we saw from Lane Kiffin and what we've seen from him in his time now as a more mature and experienced head coach, is the fact that this Lane Kiffin squad, and I have to apologize if I'm having any issues articulating here today, but the good folks over at General Dentistry of Lexington took care of me, and I got a little numbness still going on. And so I hope I'm coming. I feel like Mikey TV in Willy Wonka. Am I coming in clear? I said, am I coming in clear? That's the way I feel. And I'm having to take a little pause here and there for the calls. But if Lane Kiffin could end up at LSU with all of the recruiting prowess and reach that program has in the state of Louisiana, combined with his playbook, combined with the enthusiasm that surrounds Lane Kiffin programs, for better or for worse, I mean, kids want to be a part of that. He still seems very young. As a matter of fact, how old is Lane Kiffin these days? I honestly don't know. He's like 48, maybe. I mean, he's younger still than Dabo Swinney, although he's been around a lot longer. Lane Kiffin, 46 years old. And he's been everywhere. He's sort of rehabilitated in some respects. But I think as much as anything, his name carries a ton of cachet. And his experience at Alabama absolutely helped him. His experience under Nick Saban absolutely helped him. And I think over the long haul of his career, that opportunity to work with Saban has probably given him the single biggest positive impact on his coaching career. And I think it's undeniable that when you are around a guy like Nick Saban, you are bound to learn some of the positive traits that make his program what it is, from a recruiting standpoint, from an accountability standpoint. I mean, you can try to deny all you want about Alabama and the Crimson Tide and who they are and what they should be and how they'll, whatever. But the reality is, the facts are that there are cultural things that Saban has done in the way that he does things. It works. It works. And it's not the same as the way that Clemson's done it, but it works. And if Lane Kiffin can land at a program even bigger than Ole Miss, I know he's been at Southern Cal, but he was young. He's been at Tennessee. He was young. Look, I don't think he is infallible, and I don't think he'll ever be a coach that has the level of success that Dabo Swinney has had at Clemson. But I could be wrong. And if he gets put in a program like LSU and the recruiting base that they have, then maybe the sky's the limit for a guy like Lane Kiffin at this point. Again, we all still see him as like this 30-year-old head coach who was probably in over his head given his age. I mean, honestly, how old was he? Let me see. How old was Lane Kiffin when he took over his first big-time head coaching job with the Oakland Raiders? 07. So that was what? He was 32? He was a head coach of the Oakland Raiders? Think about that. He's like 35 with Tennessee. I mean, now he's getting into the right age where most people become head coaches. And if he were to leave now, he would make. He's got enemies now. Can you imagine if another fan base wanted to have to play every year, like the folks in Oxford? If he were to leave, but his name's out there, and I don't think it's a terrible idea if you are LSU.
Guys, stop putting your love life on hold. U.S. Pharmacy has some exciting news. If you've been wanting to try Viagra or Cialis, now is the perfect time. Call today and receive 90 little blue or little yellow pills for only $119 with free shipping. Why order some low-dose sildenafil from one of those subscription services when we can give you what you want now? Call 888-856-8066 and we'll rush your order, discreetly packaged, to your door. Been thinking of trying something new to help your love life? Call U.S. Pharmacy at 1-888-856-8066 for as little as $119 for 90 pills. Need your package in a hurry? Call 888-856-8066 and ask about our express shipping option, and we'll rush your order to you as soon as possible. Save money on this little blue or yellow pill you've been wanting to try. That's 888-856-8066. Again, 888-856-8066.
When it's football season, that means it's fall. Is your HVAC system ready for it? Sure, it's a big difference going from those hot summer days to those cool fall and winter nights. If you do have a problem, or better yet, before you have a problem, have my friends at On-Call Plumbing, Heating, and Air come and take a look. With On-Call, you'll always get a trained technician, not a trained salesperson.
On-Call Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Pick up the phone and we'll be right there. Call 781-HELP.
It's your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword EASY to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in the nationwide contest. That's EASY to 200-200.
Hi, this is Dan Patrick, and here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network, presented by Mercedes-Benz.
Injuries leaving the Panthers thin at wide receiver. Coach Rule says there's only 3 healthy bodies on the active roster, with Alex Erickson still in concussion protocol. Charlotte will host Florida Atlantic tonight in a Conference USA football showdown. The Hurricanes, they open a 2-game road trip tonight in Montreal. And one team could punch their ticket to the World Series tonight. That's Atlanta. They've got the 3-1 lead on the defending champion Dodgers in the NLCS. I'm Scott Davidson.
Daring, safe, stylish, sporty. The 2021 sedan family checks everything except inside the box. Check out the one-of-a-kind vehicles at your local Mercedes-Benz dealer or learn more at MBUSA.com.
Want more bites in your fright? The free iHeart app has the largest collection of spooky podcasts on the planet, featuring 13 Days of Halloween, Season 2, The Sea, starring Kathy Najimy from Hocus Pocus.
The people here call me Mother.
13 original stories, one per day through Halloween, each in 3D audio to place you in the center of the story. Best experienced with headphones. Tap podcasts in the iHeart app to find this and a trick-or-treat bag full of podcasts, sure to make you squirm.
Sharing has never meant as much as it does now. We share the things we love most in life for the world to see. But what if we could actually do more with our sharing than just collect likes? What if this sharing could be used to make a difference? Now there's a place where we can put all that sharing to good use. The National MS Society is asking people to make a difference and share what they love with someone else who loves it too. Whether it's surfing, dancing, or whatever is important to you, we've created a place that'll help you get your experience out to the world. If you have a story, share it. If you have a solution, share that too. Join us at wearestrongerthanms.org, because together we are stronger.
Want to hit a home run with your smart speaker?
Just say something like this.
Alexa, play Fox Sports Radio 1400 on iHeartRadio.
It is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan with you on a Thursday, and I thought we'd get some of Brent Venables in as I am still dealing with some issues with my mouth. But Venables was asked about Kenny Pickett Here's what he had to say about the Pitt quarterback.
Well, I thought a year ago he had a great year. You see more of the same. Very consistent. He makes very few mistakes as far as decision making. Great leader. Tremendous feel in the pocket. He's patient. He's confident in his offensive line. And he's got a big arm. He's dual threat, so he can extend plays and keeps his eyes down the field and can really run. Excellent runner. He's big, strong. He's fast. He ran away from Trenton Simpson last year. And again, he's got a great complement of receivers, a ton of experience around him, but he makes everybody better.
So there you go. That's what Clemson will be dealing with when it comes down to this Pitt Panther offense. Kenny Pickett, man, he really has become a heck of an offensive player. And, I've said all week that I think Clemson's going to have the type of performance that they had against the Georgia Bulldogs in the opener to win this game. And I don't think you have to keep them out of the end zone offensively. But I do think you have to minimize the number of times that Pitt scores the football. And I think you can give up some field goals and still win this game. But if you give up 4 touchdowns, I don't know that Clemson's got the arsenal right now offensively to win that game. Now, would it be completely impossible for the Tigers to come out and score 50 points and win this game 52 to 28? No. I think that anybody that has seen this offense in recent years, and as Dabo Swinney mentioned earlier about DJ, you saw him a year ago. If things get rolling, I think this can be a great offense. But there have been so many issues this year that it is difficult to imagine a scenario where they go out and play perfect football and even furthermore, where they go out and carry this team to victory. And that is a problem when you're facing a team that has a confident, experienced quarterback who is no longer having to play sort of the field general role and protect. He's able to go out and attack, and he's confident in his attack. And DJ is the opposite of that right now. DJ is not confident. DJ is not playing to attack. DJ is playing to conserve, protect. But if that mindset shifts, and if the momentum of that game begins to lean Clemson's way, then maybe you get sort of the inverse effect where all of a sudden Pitt is feeling a little pressure. Pitt is thinking, how in the world do we have ourselves in a situation where this Clemson Tiger team has come in and started to look like what everybody thought they would be at the beginning of the year? And Pat Narduzzi can talk it up as much as he wants about how this Clemson team is so good and they're still Clemson and I get that, but his players are just as susceptible to the mind games as everybody in college football. And the mindset currently exists that this Clemson team is fallible. They are beatable. They aren't good on offense. So if by some chance, all of a sudden, Clemson becomes that good on offense, sharp, playing well, then if you are the coach of that team that is dealing with that live during the game, you can understand how your players are going to begin to question and wonder about the scheme and what they're doing. And then they kind of become the guys playing on their heels against the team that they felt like at the opening they were going to be playing downhill and attacking. And that's what I think you need to have happen if you're Clemson to win this game. Flip the narrative to the point of where Pitt is thinking, wow, I can't believe Clemson's playing this good against us, instead of what most people would have projected you were going to be saying coming into the season, which is, wow, Pitt's playing this good against Clemson? Question mark. Flip who the pressure is on by your play. And Davos, when you said earlier this week, that's been a part of the issue for Clemson. They just, they're putting so much pressure on themselves. Well, at some point you have to let loose. At some point you have to say, all right, I am going to continue to play as hard as I can, but I'm going to play loose without, boatloads of concern. And honestly, Clemson doesn't really have much to lose in this game. I mean, the ACC championship game is so far out of the realm of what they should be concerned about today that there's no reason to even be stressing about it. And if this team truly takes it game by game the way Coach Swinney always talks about, then this is, of course, the most important game on the schedule, and all you can do is lock in and play the best you can. But I think that's what Clemson's got to do, man. They got to slow Kenny Pickett. Clemson needs to get some quick points, get some confidence, and flip the script in Heinz Field. Make Pitt feel like, how in the world are we down 10, 14 points? Make them have to be the team that's indecisive and wondering and questioning about their play. Because that, to me, if you're going to win it scoring less than 28 points, you're going to have to do it by forcing Pitt to question the reality that's playing out in front of them. 803-450-0086. Text line, phone line, be a part of the program anytime, any place, anywhere. We'll hit a quick break. We'll come back with more of the show that shakes the Southland. It is Clemson Sports Talk on a Thursday afternoon.
Group training is a fun, accountable way to get in shape. I'm Coach Stewart of Dynamic Health and Fitness. Come train with one of our special groups today. We will focus on giving you the support you need to get in shape. We use the Dynamic Mob, featuring intervals of cardio, functional training, and strength training to change your lifestyle to make you healthy. Get started today at any of our locations in Lexington or West Columbia, or call 803-408-4060 or online at dynamichealthclub.com.
Football is back at Platinum West. Catch all the action of Sunday and Monday pro football on the big screens, while the ladies run their own plays throughout the club. Saturdays get in free with a game day ticket stub, and Mondays wearing team attire. Mondays also get you in free with your college ID. Enjoy a daily happy hour from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. and a full kitchen menu from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. Champagne rooms are always available. Platinum West, open daily from 11 a.m. to 4 a.m. and 11 a.m. to 6 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays. On Facebook at Platinum West.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-2073. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today and call 800-575-2073. That's 800-575-2073. Or you can visit us online at tra.com.
Hi, Scott here with Traditions Fine Jewelers. Everybody knows that diamonds are a girl's best friend. But did you know that now there's a new kind of diamond that's sure to become a girl's new best friend? I'm talking about lab-grown diamonds, of course. They're exquisite, they're stunning, and they're incredibly affordable. Best of all, if you're looking for something big, they eliminate the need to settle for a lower-grade stone, because now you can get a beautiful, eye-clean, bright 1-carat diamond for less than $2,000. Or how about a gorgeous 2-carat diamond for just $5,000? Or if you want to go really big, how about a 3-carat for just $10,000? Yes, we still carry diamonds that come from the earth, and we always will, because there's nothing more romantic than an earth mine diamond. But now modern technology gives you an amazing choice, and we're all about it. So come see us and start your journey towards getting the diamond of your dreams, earth mined or lab grown. It's your call. And for the best selection of both, come see us at Traditions, only at Traditions Fine Jewelers. Now with 2 locations to serve you, Sunset Boulevard in Lexington or at the Sand Hills Center in front of the fountain. Traditions Fine Jewelers, where the Midlands get engaged.
Sand Hills location now open.
Whoa, long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
To some, a baby's babbling doesn't mean much, but it does. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app. And on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeartRadio station.
Man, oh man, oh man. If you think Georgia's tough now, look out. Holy cow. You guys see what these guys are doing on the recruiting trail? A couple of days ago, they flipped Mikael Williams. Now, he's a kid from the state of Georgia, but he's a 5-star defensive end. He was committed to Southern Cal. He's going to be a Georgia Bulldog, 6'5", 265 pounds. And then today, they get the recommitment of 4-star defensive lineman Bear Alexander, who had previously been committed to them over Texas A&M. Alexander ranks as the 6th defensive line prospect in the country. I mean, it feels like this recruiting train at Georgia is not slowing down anytime soon. And they are the number 1 team in the country with a dominant defense today. Wow. And you know what is probably the scariest thing or the most concerning thing about it could be if they win a national championship this year. Like, Georgia recruiting elite talent and coming up short every season. Scary. Georgia winning a national championship and continuing to recruit at this level, super scary. I mean, that's the thing about Georgia today, that if you're a Clemson Tiger fan watching it, and again, if they pull this off, not these recruiting classes, but if they pull off a national championship and all of that, don't we have to give some incredible amount of credit to Kirby Smart? And not if they win one, but what if they win multiple national championships at Georgia? Think about this. They technically would do it, and again, this is all hypothetical, but in the midst of Alabama being a monster, in the midst of Clemson being a monster, you just continued the slow grind of the process of getting to the top of the sport with 2 behemoths battling in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2019. I mean, like, to think about it like that, in the way or Was that 4 straight years, Clemson and Alabama? 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018. Excuse me. Where these teams met in the college football playoff, and all the while there you were on the cusp. But like the little train that could, you just kept grinding. I mean, that to me, like if Georgia gets one, if they win the national championship this year, that's pretty impressive. But if they manage to get a couple over the next few years and continue to build, oh man. That would be quite a story given their proximity to Clemson and their relationship in the SEC to Alabama. But that would just be, I mean, if you want to tell the tale of a team that rose up, not from the ashes, because clearly Mark Richt had them in a good situation. I mean, they were close. They were kept getting close under Mark Richt. But could you imagine if all of a sudden Georgia, the Bulldogs, hoist a couple of national titles? You think what Clemson's achieved was tough. Clemson did it coming out of the ACC. Georgia, if they pull that off, they had to do it not only coming out of the SEC in the face of Alabama every year, potentially in the SEC championship game, but also with Clemson being great right in your backyard. I mean, dude, that's a story. Keep your eye on it because they are still recruiting at an elite level. Again, hard to believe this full day is in the books. Thank you to Tim Beret. Thank you to Michael Felder for joining the program. And one final thing, I guess before we get out of here. I mentioned my second television set that I am now using, and it's helped me kind of follow pre-World Series Major League Baseball. Shout out to the Braves. Chop on, baby. 8:08 p.m. tonight. The Braves up 3-1 against the Dodgers, the reigning defending champions. And the Braves looking to shut that series down out west and come back to the East Coast in preparation for the World Series. Woo-wee. Yes, indeed. You guys know I'm not a huge baseball guy, but I do pull for the Braves. This is the sport where I allow myself 2 teams, and I don't follow either one of them in the regular season. But I pull for the Braves in the NL and the Sox, the Boston Red Sox in the AL. And both of my teams in the League Championship Series this year. So really cool and a great opportunity to watch a lot of baseball. The Sox, however, down 3-2. They'll play tomorrow night at 8:08 against Houston. And I thought about this watching some of that series too. Has Houston become the most hated franchise in all of sports, the Astros, because of the scandal and cheating and winning a World Series? I think they have. I think only Houston Astro fans pull for Houston.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports. Fox Sports Radio 1400. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
Couple of traffic issues this afternoon. Highway 6 at Carl Drive, also Hester Woods Drive at Hardscrabble. If you're stuck, use the 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line, 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's Foods.
We did it. The Buy Low at 1419 Chapin Road is now a full-fledged brand spanking chicken cluck and local loving veggie chop and draft pouring new Lowe's Foods. The grand opening of your local Lowe's Foods is here. Get excited.
There's a hot new podcast we think you'll like. Variety's Strictly Business. Hear candid conversations about business deals, strategy, and the future of media and entertainment from industry A-listers. Hosted by Variety business editor Cynthia Littleton and co-editor-in-chief Andrew Wallenstein. And once a month, executive editor of music Shirley Halperin will join the conversation to discuss the business of music. Listen to Strictly Business on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.
By popular demand, Great Southern Homes now lists their coming soon communities online. Whether you're looking for a new home in your hometown, moving to a new town, or just want your pick of choice lots, this is the place to start. Great Southern Homes invites you to put the wow in your new home with options and upgrades. Live green, live smart in your new green smart home.